So I lied when I said that the FZR was done. I have one more upgrade to make here. What you're looking at is a front brake setup from a 2000 Yamaha R6. And I am told that this will bolt right up into the FZR 600 setup. And I got it for a few reasons. Number one, this entire thing was $70, which is pretty good considering hoping that all this stuff works and it doesn't need to be rebuilt. Another reason I got it is that I'm getting a little bit of a shudder in the front of the motorcycle, and my instincts tell me that it's the rotors and the rotors are warped. But I couldn't pass up this deal. I just couldn't pass it up. This is just such a nice little deal. What really sold me on this is that it has steel braided lines, and Goodridge steel braided lines, which are pretty good. Ridge. I did get new pads for it, just because I didn't know the, you know, how good or what brand the pads were that came in this thing, and you know, whatever, they're like 20 bucks a pop, no big deal, and also peace of mind. So with this, obviously steel braided lines, and if I got steel braided lines specifically for the FZR, it would be more money than this entire setup cost me. The master cylinder is a lot more progressive. It's adjustable. I can adjust it right there. I am going to get a different handle on here. I am not a fan of the fake carbon fiber look. I will find something to replace it. The red cap on the brake fluid reservoir is kind of garish, and I need to figure out a way to mount it so that it's not flopping all over the place. It's probably just a simple bracket that is out there, or maybe I can just make one. The only thing that the previous seller did say was wrong is that there is a cut right there in that brake fluid reservoir line right there. But I was looking around my shop and I found this thing. I don't know what it is, but I don't know what it's from, but it's another front end, or not front end, front brake setup. And I might just swap over the line and the reservoir onto here, because, you know, it's black and this line isn't broken, so I'll be doing that too. And I would swap over the handlebar, but it's cracked, and that's not a good look. But I don't know, whatever. So what do I do from here? First thing I want to do is I want to what do I want to do first? I think the first thing I want to do is make sure that the calipers aren't seized or anything like that. So I will do that first. Okay, calipers first. Honestly, I don't think that there's much of a difference from the R6 calipers and the calipers that are on the FZR 600. They're both two pot. You know, they both take practically the same brake pads. There's not really a whole mess of difference with these versus the stock ones. The only advantage that it has is that being that there are 6 rotor pads, it's way easier to get them. It's way easier to get R6 pads with an R6 caliper. They're more available, I have more choices, but I mean, I would go with EBC no matter what. So the first thing I gotta do is I rotate this little pin over until I get these like cotter pins out and remove them. And then after that, I should be able to take out the pin that's holding this little metal clip in place. Oops. There goes everything. Uh-oh. Where'd that pin go? I gotta find it. Found it. Haha. Take that, shop floor. You didn't get this one. Alright. Pads are, you know, obviously not been used for a while. They're pretty rusty. I'll replace them anyways, who cares. And let's take out this little clip here too. Just set it aside. And let's test these pistons out. See if they actually move in and out. And that's really all I want to do as far as at this point testing it. I mean, I could do, let's do a bench bleed, but I don't know. I just want to see if they compress and they're not stuck. I don't think these, no, those don't compress. These do. Let's make sure that they do. Yep, easily. Cool. Yep. Guys, compress. There's no obvious signs of leaking, so I'm fairly confident that I'm going to be alright with these pads, and I hopefully won't have to do a rebuild kit. Now, do I have brake cleaner anywhere? I thought I bought brake cleaner. I have to run out and get some. Definitely need that because I'm cleaning brakes. I need brake cleaner. That's pretty simple. But first, let me check and make sure that the pads line up with what I got, because that's the last thing. I'll keep that shim. Probably need it, unless this doesn't come with it. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely want to check and make sure that these pads actually fit. And they're the same. Yeah, they're the same. Cool. These are EBC Organic Stintered, or however the hell you say that, brake pads. I like EBC. Good cheap brand. Yeah, I need to get brake cleaner. Alright, cleaned it with brake fluid and degreaser, and now, ooh, shiny. Now they look like the blue dot calipers that they are named after. So, let's put the pads on. Let's just do that. Pads. Where are my new pads? They're in here. Obviously, each one is going to be exactly the same, so I'm only going to do it once. There are some things that I'm going to do as far as using this synthetic grease to help things along. How this guy works is this pin that you saw me take out sits right here in the holder, and it corresponds with these loops on the brake pads, and they go in there. The brake pads sit in there over the top and just kind of chill in there like that. So the brake pad actually moves in and out on this shaft itself. So we need to make sure that that's unobstructed. We need to make sure that that it's nice and greasy and the pads move as nicely as they need to, and that we don't have any binding. So the one way to do this, and I think I am going to do this, see if I can, is to actually, so there's corrosion and shit on here. I think one of my wheels, no, I'm going to get my wire wheel attachment out on my drill and just clean these guys up a little bit. Just, you know, basically take all the gunk and shit off of it. So I'm going to do that. Alright, clean these pins up a little bit. They're not perfect, but they're much better. They're at least shiny now. And smooth, which is what we were going for. So I just have this synthetic grease, specifically says brake caliper grease on it. So that's what we're going to use. And we'll do this guy first. Oh yeah. Little dab will do ya. Let's get this coated on here. It's good. I'll use this one. And we'll coat the side right here. And this part right here. Just anything that rod touches, we're gonna lube it up a little bit. Give it a good chance. I wonder if I should be putting anti-seize on this instead of silicone lube. I think being that this is specifically for brake calipers, I should probably use it. I mean, anti-seize wouldn't hurt either. Alright, so that's that bit. And let's just do a little bit of the inside of this guy. Just a little bit. Obviously very careful not to get the silicone grease on the brake pad itself, because obviously we don't need the stopping parts to be greased up. And on cars, usually what you'll do is you'll, I've seen it happen as a trick, is put some silicone grease on the back of here and then put your little shim on top of it, but that's usually just for the purpose of reducing noise and clatter. So I don't think that it is necessary with what we're doing here. Just go here. Oops, you fell. Try this again. And you fell again. Maybe need to do this. That first. And then yeah. That's what we'll do. We'll do this the right way. It still wants to fall through. GD it. There's one half. And also note that I pushed the whatchamacallit all the way back. The pistons, just so I can fit these new pads in here without too much effort. Okay, that's just about it. Alright. So now our brakes are installed. So the last thing we have to do is get these little cotter pins back in here, these little guys. And there are holes on the pins itself, and this might be a bit of a pain to find. Nope, there's one. Push her down in there. Sure it goes all the way in. You don't want that flying out on you. So we can get this up a little bit. Cool. Let's get the other side. And I wish there was a way I could show you guys, but I can't. First one goes in. And we're good. Now this guy isn't going anywhere. This is nice and greasy, and the pads will be able to move back and forth without a problem. And obviously I'm going to do the same thing on the other caliper. Alright, let's swap reservoirs. I think this one actually has fluid in it, so let me just take care of that real quick. PU to dump this crap. Ugh. I'm gonna clean it out too for good measure, because that stuff is gross. Definitely been in there a little while. And obviously I'm doing all this shit off the bike first. Right, nowhere near the bike, because brake fluid and paint, they don't mix. Never actually spilled any on paint, but enough people have told me that they don't mix for me to believe that they don't mix, and for me not want to, you know, prove the theory for myself. I'll just take the word for it. There we go. Cool. And let's take off this ugly and cracked red one. And I never throw anything out, so this is going to go in the parts drawer. Just in, for whatever reason I might need it again. What'd I do it there? And slide this duder back on here. And cinch her up. Here we go. Ta-da. Alright, I'm not going to put the whatchamacallit back on it, the cap, or the lock that holds the this guy in place, because I am going to bleed the system and all that jazz, and you know, I don't want to messing around with that if I don't have to. Now what do I do about this ugly handle? I guess for now I just keep it, because I don't have another one, and the one on there is broken, and I'd rather have a mismatched one than a broken one. So that's that. Let's put it on the bike. Let's see if it fits. Alright, time to start taking this stuff apart. I undid the brake junction down here first. I'm gonna have to not completely get rid of it, because the horn bracket screws onto the back of the junction there. So let's get the calipers off. Okay, so these are pretty easy to get off. They're just 12mm bolts. think I'm tightening it. Let's see. Oh, wow. Really did a number on these. No, I think that's tightened. There we go. Wow. I don't know if I had them too tight, but Jesus Christ. They're really on there. This will take a while. You know what I said about not giving a shit about breaking parts? That's a brake bolt. And that goes there. And it just snapped off. I have no idea why it was like why it was fused in there. But now the front wheel has to come off. And this becomes just that little bit more difficult. Great. Well, at least it'll give me a chance to look at the rotors and test them out. Yeah. Good thing I'm replacing it. Front wheel's off. We're going to take a look at these rotors. The main problem that I'm having is that, you know, when I hit the brakes, it kind of bucks a little bit. Like on a car, if you're having an issue when you're hitting the brakes and then it starts to vibrate, 9 times out of 10 it's your rotors or your pads. The rotors, or the pads obviously are getting changed on this thing, but I need to do something about the rotors. Now, historically, the FZR 600 rotors don't warp. It's very rare for rotors to warp. And specifically on motorcycles in general, you know, it's fairly difficult to get rotors to warp on you. But it does happen. And it might be the case with these guys. But before I roll that out, there's one thing I can do to help myself out. And that is to resurface these myself. And that's where this stuff comes in. It's a little attachment to my drill. I'm going to use that green Scotch-Brite pad to basically run over all this on both sides, which is why I'm removing the rotor on both sides. And hopefully it'll take off some of the gunk that's on here that usually causes that sort of thing on a motorcycle rotors. So let's get these guys off and hope that they don't strip on me, because these guys do have a tendency to do that. Alright, there's that one. But since I'm doing it on a flat surface instead of like on the bike or whatever, I should have a better chance of getting these guys off. But if I do run into any sort of like really hard resistance, I'm going to hit it with some PV Blaster, and definitely worst case scenario, hit it with some heat to get these guys off, because it really, you don't want to be wrestling with this stuff too much. Of course the wheel is not. Okay, how do I do this without the wheel? Okay, maybe like this. There's one. Okay, that guy's gonna come out. There's two. That guy's gonna come out for sure. Turned on my buffer. Bad move. There's three more. Feeling pretty good about this. Then I have the whole other rotor to do. Go. This is also the sort of thing I wouldn't want to use an air tool with. Because I do not want to take any sort of chance of stripping these bolts. Because then you're in for a world of hurt trying to extract these. Ask me how I know. Alrighty. Now if I did have an air tool handy, at this point I would use it just to get all the bolts off, but let's just do this. But, you know, same thing on the other side. I'm not going to waste any more of your time watching me undo bolts. So that's that. Alright, let's make this shiny again. Let me see if I can figure out a way to make sure that this doesn't rotate on me. Get a clamp out. Just clamp it to the table. Where's my U-clamp? Where are you? There it is. Oh, there goes something. Don't know what, but something. Let's just go with that for now. Should be enough. Just want to hold her in place. Cool. Should be it. Shiny. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the other one, and then I'm going to spray this with brake cleaner, and we're good to go. Alright, let's give these guys a little bit of a spray. I love brake cleaner, but man, does it go quick. I'll probably give it another spritz before I put them back on, but it's looking good, huh? Where's the other one? After this, if they're still wobbling, they're done. And I do need new ones, but I highly, highly doubt that that's the case. Woo! Alright, let's put these guys back on. Where's my cap? There it is. Whew! Stuff kind of stinks if you smell it. Or if you spray it indoors. Now, what I did do was, I wasn't sure if the brake rotors are specific for like what side they need to be on, but just in case I marked like green, green. You know, just to be sure, just to make absolutely certain that, you know, I'm putting them on the right way, and I hope that I am. I'm basically just putting them back on the way that I found them, so can't be that bad. Here we go. Now where's my Loctite? There we go. And obviously all these guys get Loctite. This is blue Loctite in a red bottle. I don't understand why, but that's what it is. And I need to check and see what the the torque spec is for these guys. I'm not actually sure offhand. Actually, let me check on that right now. Okay, the book says 15 foot-pounds. I'm just going to play it safe and go to 20. And in my experience, that's about right for rotor bolts. Your torque wrench is starting to fail. See? That's Harbor Freight for you, but there we go. I mean, this thing did give me, like, jeez. This thing did give me, what do you call it? At least like a year or two of good work. And it's just now that it's starting to fail. So, you know what? It's not a bad lifespan. It did okay. And frankly, for $20, I could buy one of these a year for the rest of my life, and it still would cost less than a than one from like Snap-on or something like that. So I'll just use my old bar style one, which is not as fun to use, but gets the job done. These things get stuck. There we go. I mean, these guys can handle an extra 5 pounds of torque. There we go. Let's check them again. Basically anything under 20 foot-pounds on this bar style torque wrench is just not going to show up, so that's another reason why I'm just going to 20 instead of 15. And honestly, what's 5 foot-pounds? I mean, these bolts can handle it. Just sucks I don't have that nice satisfying click. It feels so good. Feels good. Yeah. Alright, we're good. On to the other side. Alright, I finally fished the new master cylinder up through all the wires and such. And now we're gonna go ahead and install you. Now, first things first, I gotta put on the brake front switch, which I do not think polarity really matters, if I remember correctly. And if not, it's an easy thing to fix. So that's that. Now let's put this guy on here. You held up on, buddy. There. I'm gonna have to readjust these lines once I get these on here. The brake lines are not pointing straight down, and that's easily adjustable by just getting getting a wrench on the banjo bolt up front, and then just loosening it and twisting the brake lines so that they're both pointing down. That's easy enough. And also I'm not going to worry too much about like where the handlebar is positioned, because I got those new ones coming in the mail, so well, it's gonna come off anyway, so who gives a damn. Okay, basically this is how we're gonna figure out whether or not this stuff fits, and that's to see if it lines up on the existing fork mounts. If it does, we good. If it doesn't, we bad. So let's cross our fingers, because here we go. Go over. I forget. No, it doesn't. I'm silly. I'm a silly guy, guys. Start with the bottom one first. Okay, there's. I thought was the bottom one. Okay, bottom. Let's see about the top. Oh, would you look at that? Mounts right up. Alright, here's what I settled on for routing for the brake lines. The right side one goes underneath the throttle cables here, and the left side one goes over it and goes and routes through that part of the triple. It was like right in the middle. That makes it so I can rotate this freely. There's no binding. And the same thing with the brake lines. There's no binding or pulling on the brake lines at all. Everything is money in the bank. We're good. Alright, now let's get this thing back on the ground. And sort of my caveman-ish way of doing that, because I got jack stands on there right now. Let's see what we can do about this. Okay, I know. Oh, I know. Got 2 jack stands under each frame rails. Let's see if I can do this a very dangerous sort of way. Okay. One side. Which, now that I think about it, is not the side I should be taking off. I should be taking off the other side. Just lower this dude down here. Definitely favoring this side a little bit, but that's what I want. And then I will take the other side, the other jack stand off, and allow it to go directly onto the kickstand. Should get me where I need to be without a floor jack or scissor jack or any of that stuff I really should have. Okay, down she goes. Nice and slow. There. We're on the ground. One thing I did want to check and see is if these brake inspection covers from the FZR's calipers fit the R1, and wouldn't you know it, they don't. So I'm gonna have to get whatever. I'm gonna have to get these for the R6 calipers. Just gotta get some new inspection covers. Alrighty, I got new levers. They are Chinese knockoffs from eBay, and we will see if the quality holds up. I got a pair of them for like 20 bucks. It's kind of ridiculous how inexpensive this stuff is, but I've heard from quite a few sources that they're not bad. You know, they actually hold up pretty well. And it's definitely a worthy little upgrade. So, we'll see. We'll see if it works out. I mean, I don't need anything super duper high performance because, well, frankly, I don't track this thing, so who cares? But we shall see. We shall see. Let's see if we can get this off. My tiny little screwdriver. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And I'm also not going to bleed the brakes until I get the reservoir bracket in the mail, because in order for me to put the bracket on, I have to undo the hose that connects the, like this hose right here. I have to undo it because the bracket kind of goes over this and holds it in place and like allows it to like move around but not move around too much. So if I bled it now and then got the bracket, I would have to disconnect the hose, which would require me to bleed it again. So I'm just not going to deal with it for now. I'm just going to leave it as is, wait for the bracket to come in, and then I'm going to bleed it. So that's that. There you go. And this is a shorty one. It's adjustable, much shorter. I've never had shorty levers before, so I kind of don't know what to expect. I don't know if I like it or I'm going to dislike it. And this already looks like it's not going to fit. Fucking goddamn. Yeah, this isn't fitting. Awesome. Alright, we're trying to figure out where to mount the master cylinder fluid reservoir. No, up here. Now my assumption was that there was some sort of mount on the new master cylinder itself that would allow me to just kind of use a stock R6 mount for the bottle and it's all good, but it doesn't have one on here. There's nowhere for me to mount the bottle, so I have to figure out where to do this. I was thinking down here where the backside of the triple clamp for the forks. I don't think that's going to work because there's not too much depth in there for me to feel comfortable mounting anything, honestly. It would only get about 2 turns and then bottom out. So what I think I'm going to do, this is what makes sense to me for right now, is to mount it on one of the bolts that hold the ignition switch into place, and basically just make a loop and just stuff it in the middle right there, and hopefully, and then just have it go straight up and have it sit somewhere in here and then feed right into the master cylinder there. So hopefully it won't look too bad. let's try it out. Alright, here's my bracket. I swear to God, man, next thing I buy for the shop is going to be a fucking table saw. Or a bandsaw. Like, cause I can't, like, it would be nice to cut something straight and know that it's going to be straight. Like, this thing's always got a little bit of a wave on it. It looks handmade in a bad way. So the next thing I buy, most definitely, is going to be a bandsaw. For sure. I just don't know where I'm going to put it. Like, that's the thing. Like, if I knew where it would go, like, I'm kind of assed out on space here, but man, I sure could use one. Alright, here's what I came up with. It's not the most elegant solution in the world, but it does the job. It's higher than the inlet on the master cylinder, or on the brake master cylinder, or there, whatever you call it. This is the master cylinder, that's the reservoir. So the reservoir is higher than the master cylinder, which is great because it, if it was lower, it would affect flow. It would probably push some bubbles up or down into it. So this is good, like having it a little bit above. That's where I wanted it. It's nice and solid. It rocks around a little bit, but no matter what the setup, that's going to be the case, so I'm not too worried about it. It's alright. It'll do the job. It doesn't get in the way of anything. It doesn't hit anything, so it's all good. Performance-wise, really good. The brake is much more progressive now. It's neither, it doesn't feel like an on-off. Like, it's very progressive. It feels really nice, and it's much harder. It's much stronger braking, so I would suggest this, yeah. I think it's 99 to 2002 R6s, or I guess they're YZF 600s. Yeah, definitely a good buy. And you get blue calipers.